Hi everyone, I'm Jack Saunders and welcome to Mystery Jet Speaker's Corner. How seriously is that actually being taken?
We're at a kind of slightly dangerous point where the word emergency starts to lose its power.
We found thousands and thousands of people living in what can only be compared to, it was like Armageddon. We are today the biggest provider of aid to the refugee crisis.
As an artist, what can we do to help platform some of those voices fighting for change? What can we all do as citizens of the world to help people who are suffering?
We win through organising, we win through agitating, we win through getting people in a room like this, and we win through platforming people who are doing amazing work, but we also win through reimagining the things we're doing and the way in which we live.
The climate and ecological breakdown is going to show its face in lots of different ways. And one of the ways in which it's showing itself is in fires and floods, which we're seeing, but another way in which it will show itself is in increased refugee crisis.
All the signs that you can see behind us, I collected from different marches that I went on. To me, they all represent hope. They represent values, human values.
People like to think that there is no gap. There's no gap when it comes to equal pay, for example. The best way I can describe it is the struggle is real.
You know, when you're crying out for help, like when you've got something seriously going wrong with your mental health, your life, whatever it is, like, you know, the help isn't there.
We're still not putting the needs of women first, even when they are talking to us about their trauma and about the things that have happened to them. I think that there's so much more to do than to be wearing a pin on your tuxedo.
How much of a role does art play in mental health and helping people through that journey, do you think?
You know, there's no shame in admitting to our vulnerabilities as men. It's so important to express that through our music.
There's been this sort of irritating statistic going around recently that Britain is the most tolerant country in Europe, and it's quite a low bar, this idea of tolerance. Just the very concept of tolerance. Britain is tolerant. You know, Britain shows a willingness to begrudgingly go, okay, yeah, fine, we are tolerant.
We're talking about humanity and everybody's human rights to be acknowledged and understood, which I still see that we have a huge leaps and bounds to go in order to recognise those things, for there to be actually equality.
I guess if you think about how unrepresentative journalism is, like over 90% of journalists are white, like do they have a vested interest in the lives of the people who grew up in Grenfell? Do they have any connection to those people? Is it easier for them to ignore these stories and pretend like it doesn't matter?
We might not walk in your shoes or our shoes, but it's about breaking down the notion of us and them. This isn't about us and them, it's about everyone. And that's what I think, in many ways, as British people, it's our Britishness that allows us all to be together and be inclusive.
Thank you, guys.